Coach Greg here today, and I'm an IFBB Pro bodybuilder with my master's degree in kinesiology. And today what we're going to discuss is Linn Bailey and her rhabdomyolysis hospital stay, and her Crossfit, and of course steroids, and everything that has to do with that. So it's going to be really interesting, and you'll know exactly what I think. So before I start that, I want to point out I'm not a doctor. I'm not anyone's doctor. This is just my opinion on what happened and what have you. So I'm not her doctor. I'm not treating her. Okay? So just don't, just listen to this for entertainment. Before I start, I am a coach, full-time diet, training, supplements. Message gregdoucette@hotmail.com if you're interested in being coached by me, and I will send you all the details. Okay, so for those of you who have been living under a rock in the woods and you don't have Instagram or internet, Linn Bailey is one of the most famous female, we'll call her a bodybuilder, ever, okay? She has millions of followers, and she's the first ever women's physique Olympia champion. If you don't know what that is, it's like the flexing in the Olympia, okay? Like bodybuilding, but like more feminine, okay? Very good looking woman, attractive, highly desired body, and so many female fans and males as well want to look like this girl. Okay, so first of all, let's get this out of the way. Do I think that Linn Bailey is natural? Of course she's not natural. She's the physique Olympia champion. I mean, come on. Really, people? Now, but she says she's natural. Of course she says she's natural. She's from the United States. It's illegal to take steroids there, unless it's prescribed by a doctor and the whole thing. Now, if you think somebody's going to go up to somebody and say, hey, do you rob banks and sell cocaine and murder people? Yeah, I do that. And they're going to come knocking at your door and arrest you? No, they're not going to admit to it. They're from the United States. It's illegal. You can't just go out and break the law and just talk about it openly. No. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Next. Oh, but she's so pretty. She can't do steroids because steroids cause you to have those beards and those faces that look like men and those deep voices. If you go crazy on steroids and use certain ones and you're a moron or you just want to look like a man, then yeah. But if you're like half the bikini girls that are out there competing who are all gorgeous, you can use steroids and not look like a man at all. Zero looking like a man. Plus, it's not just steroids. There's SARMs. There's Clen. There's Nova. There's SERMs. There's things to make you look better, more ripped, grainier. It doesn't have to be testosterone. It can be Anavar. It could be Ostarine. There's so many things out there that you can take. So if somebody says, do you do steroids? And she could literally say, no, and she could be telling you the truth 100% because she's not. She's just using SARMs. Or, oh, hi, are you doing testosterone? No. And they're not lying. They're doing DECA and Tren. There you go. Boom. Not lying. Oh, are you doing steroids or SARMs? Are you cheating? Nope. She's using GH or MK677 or some other growth hormone secret about. Or are you using any of those anabolic? Nope. Nova, which would increase testosterone levels. Or Clomid, or a diuretic. There's so many things you can do to be performance enhancing. It doesn't have to just be steroids. Okay, so there you go. That's my opinion. Now, do I think that it contributed, the use of steroids or whatever, to her getting rhabdomyolysis, which we'll explain in detail soon? Yes, I do. Without explaining rhabdomyolysis, because I'm going to do it later, if you have more muscle, you have more muscle to get damaged. More muscle to get damaged can cause more problems. And if you're taking steroids or other things, you could have increased liver enzymes. You could have increased kidney problems. And so when rhabdomyolysis is added to it, say, it's just going to be that much worse because you're already kind of approaching that level. Okay, so that's that out of the way. Okay, so what happened? So those of you who don't know, so she's a CrossFit person now, and she trains super hard, okay? So she works hard. So it's not like, oh, she just takes steroids and she looks good. No, she trains her ass off, as do most people who are at that elite level. And so she was doing this sit-up type challenge where you have to do like, how many sit-ups can you do? All out. I mean, crazy hard. Like, I train like her, so I know what it's like. You go nuts, you know, you sprint, whatever. Sit-ups, 2 minutes, how many can you do? Sit-ups, 500, yes, bracket record. I only did 481 last time. And then, so she went all out, and then it was like, okay, good, awesome workout. Yeah, go team, we're gonna kill it. CrossFit's awesome, yeah. And then the next day it's like, oh man, my abs are so sore. Yeah, that workout was killer, yes. And then the next day it's like, holy, it's still sore. Man, that was a good workout. And then the third day it's like, holy, it's still sore. And I'm getting bloated. Let's see if it goes away. And then by day 5, it's like, yeah, maybe I pulled a muscle or something because, like, man, my abs are sore. I mean, I worked out hard, but still 5 days later and I'm still sore. And I'm holding like 10 pounds of water and I'm bloated and I'm in pain. It's like, okay, time to go to the doctor. She goes to the doctor. They do some tests. They test your urine and your blood. They're testing your blood. Why I always say, do blood work. Well, she went and did it because she's smart. She's not an idiot. So then instead of just ignoring, you know, the signs, and it could have got worse. So she went in. They test. This is what they do for rhabdomyolysis. They will test creatine kinase levels. Okay? Creatine kinase is a marker for the kidneys here, and it's gonna, like, when you damage a muscle, so you work out 50 reps, right? Done. Your muscle is damaged because it just did a lot of work, and then that releases toxins, okay? And then the creatine kinase is the test to see this. Normal range would be like, say, 30 to 300. So I'm not sure exactly, roughly that. At least in the Canadian units. When I go get tested, I've been as low as 1,000 and as high as 4,000. And the doctor was never concerned over it. He's like, any Olympic athlete is going to have way more than 300 because you're constantly damaging your muscle by working out. That's just what we do. That's we're bodybuilders. We train. So you're always going to be high. So it's not really a concern. But if the doctor says it's a concern, it is. So just listen to your doctor. Now, however, if you're into the 10,000 zone, so we're talking about, like, you know, it's like 100 times normal kind of type thing, then they might have an issue here. And if the doctors, if it's combined with other things like you're nauseous and you have pain and you know, all the different signs, it's going to come out and they're going to be like, oh, you have rhabdomyolysis. Okay? So, yeah, let me get into some of this. Okay. Oh, and before you panic, so yeah, when you get your blood work done and you're going to be like, creatine kinase, that's that thing that Dana and Bailey had a lot of. So when you see that number and it's 2,000 and the doctor says normal's like 300, you're like, I must have it. Well, I had 4,600 and I didn't have it. It's just from hard training. So don't panic unless the doctor says to panic, then panic. Okay. So she also had elevated liver enzymes on top of this. So it's usually just the creatine kinase, but for her it was liver enzymes were elevated as well. So that's an extra thing on the side. And that was really the issue they had for her. So rhabdo. The really serious condition can happen if you get compartment syndrome, which is basically like when the muscle is compressed and squished and the blood doesn't get to it and the muscle cells die off. You get like pain and numbness, like almost like you're sleeping on your arm. And then the muscle's literally dying, and the death of the muscle is releasing itself into the bloodstream. So the muscle is dead. So picture you have dead tissue in your body, and it's being excreted. And the body doesn't like dead things in it. And so this is bad. And the kidneys are like a filter. And so, I don't know, a filter, and you put water through, and it comes through, and the shitty stuff stays at the top. So picture the kidneys are like that, and all this shit it's trying to filter out doesn't all get filtered, and it builds up, and it's toxic, and it's bad, and the whole body sucks, and then it's a problem. Okay? So I do know somebody that had rhabdomyolysis and lost 3/4 of their calf muscle from a workout, from doing calf so hard, and they overtrained, and it got compartment syndrome, and 3 months he couldn't train, and his calf muscle was like almost nothing, right? And it was just from this. Okay, so this is a real thing. And it can happen just from overtraining, okay? Now, don't start and be like, well, I'm not training hard ever again. It is rare. Not a lot of people get this. Like, think of how many years that she trained for before she got it. Okay? All right. So, what else? So, what could it be? What could it be? We have signs like what could do. If you're peeing like tea-colored pee, like dark pee, that could be a sign. But I mean, remember, you have to have a bunch of these, okay? Muscle pain and tenderness, localized muscle weakness, which cause like lethargy and fatigue. You got to think like you're damaging your muscle and your body's trying to recover and you're like just tired and burned out. Okay, you have less urine because your body's like holding onto the water, your kidneys aren't working properly, and you're gaining weight and gaining weight and gaining weight. Nausea and vomiting, you're mentally confused. So sometimes this happens when you're exercising really hot, like it's 100 degrees and you're running a marathon, the muscle's getting damaged and it's hot, it makes it worse. Pain and numbness, we already went over that with the compartment syndrome. Shortness of breath, I mean, you just can't breathe because of the fluid that's building up in your lungs. It's not like you're just tired from working out. It's something different. Bleeding, internal bleeding, emergencies. These are bad. And then your fever, chills, insomnia, and joint pains, and all this stuff that goes along. You don't know what it is. So you might have just gone to the gym and did your squat PR, 20 sets of squats, and you feel awesome. And then you get some of these signs in the days coming up, and then you got to go to the hospital and you get the test done and you find out, and that's what happened to you. So that's really what's going on here. And what happens? Well, they go to the hospital to keep you put in IV, get the fluid going, and then rest, and you have to take weeks off the gym. It is serious. It's not like, oh, you just need 3 days off. This is serious, okay? Now, when I was in university and we learned about rhabdomyolysis, they didn't actually say anything about overtraining or training. We learned it as, and this was 25 years ago, so I mean, maybe there's a chance I forgot. I did study hard, but I might have forgot. But anyway, I remember it being like, oh, you're going to get in a car accident, or you're going to be crushed by something, or you fall off a building and then you're there, and then you get this rhabdomyolysis and it's like your muscles dying, and I'm like, oh, that's so crazy, man. I hope I don't get that. But I didn't remember really learning about the overtraining part. But yes, it can do it. You're just training the muscle so hard that you literally damaged it. So you like ripped it apart. And I would assume the eccentric load or the eccentric training of the set would be more damaging, much more than the concentric. So maybe forceful letting down, superset, drop set, forced reps, something. You got to train hard to do this. And it's more common in a less trained person. More elite level athletes are going to be able to train proper. But if you're an elite athlete and you have huge muscles, that's more chance that they can get ripped and broken down. And so it's more likely to have a big problem. Just think, if you have a 20-inch arm and it gets damaged, it's going to release more toxins than a 13-inch arm that gets damaged. So if you're on steroids as well, say you're on Halo, like a guy, Trent, and you're like, and you're training so hard. Well, good chance you're going to train even harder than you should be able to train. Is that a Nike? And you're going to train too hard because you're on steroids, and that could lead to the damage. Now, I've trained hard for many years, and I've taken steroids as well. And I've trained in hot environments, and I've done it all. I've done the triathlons in the heat, and I've never got it. So, I mean, the purpose of this video isn't really to be like, don't overtrain. It's just that it happens. There's just freaks of everything's 1 in 1,000 chance. Somebody's going to do whatever. I mean, you drink some juice and there's probably a 1 in 1,000 chance you're going to get some kind of juice poisoning. I don't know. So, whatever. But anyway, that's the summary of Dana Linn Bailey. She's recovering from rhabdomyolysis, which is from overtraining, doing sit-ups in CrossFit. So don't do CrossFit, it'll kill you. No, I'm just kidding. Do CrossFit. CrossFit's awesome. Keeps you in shape. Do what you need to do to get in shape. But be careful. Don't do steroids unless you decided you will. And if you do, you have to tell your doctor about it and make sure that you're getting your blood work done. Message gregdoucette@hotmail.com for coaching. Subscribe and like the video if you liked it. Until next time.